Alright, now for the final installment of the Mad Max trilogy. Time for the review of Beyond Thunderdome, which stars once again Mel Gibson as Max Rockatansky and Tina Turner as Entity, I believe her name is. I'm kind of thrilled with this movie, but at the same time I'm sort of at a loss for words of it. I watched it earlier this morning. This movie is set who the hell knows how long after The Road Warrior, and Max has been wondering for quite some time. And the movie starts out with a guy who looks like the gyro captain and his son from The Road Warrior happens to knock this fella off his camel pull caravan in a desert on the way to Bartertown, which is run by Tina Turner's character. That character that was knocked off was revealed to be Max, and they go and they sell his stuff there in an auction. Well, Max is pretty fucking pissed about this, so he goes into town and offers his services in order to get his stuff back, because quite obviously Bartertown is supposed to be the first vestige of hope and civilization according to Entity, but quite obviously there are a bunch of dishonest scoundrels there. Max goes undercover in order to get his stuff back, excuse me, by luring this character called Master Blaster into the Thunderdome, where everybody chants 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. And they have like all these crazy deals by which the law that Entity established in town is done through gladiatorial events and game show scenarios, like if you break a deal, you face the wheel, and whatever the wheel says is going to happen to you. And I think this, in a way, kind of does a good job of satirizing how folks perceive things as, where we're so drawn to television and kind of like the game shows and all that, in sort of a nonchalant kind of way. It dictates life. This did a much better job at portraying that symbolism than a movie that followed sometime after it called, well, it doesn't take place after it, but it was made sometime after it, which was The Running Man with Schwarzenegger. Now, one of the qualms that I have with this movie right off is the fact that this is rated PG-13 while the other ones were rated R. And in fact, it was something I didn't even notice until I stopped the movie towards the end, where they were having the final chase sequence in this movie, and then I realized that there is hardly anybody that is killed in this movie. Now, of course, this movie has it has language in it, quite obviously. It has some brutality, and there is a person or two, maybe here or there, that dies. But there's really no kind of action. And getting back to the story of Gibson's character, by the way, Entity's political rival in that town is Master Blaster. Master is a midget that commands this big guy underneath him called Blaster, who's really strong, but when Gibson gets him in the ring and fights him down, it's actually revealed that Blaster is actually a mentally retarded guy that Master had been looking after for some time, and he had actually been running the pig shit powered generator down under Bartertown in what they call Underworld, and he's really letting Entity knows who's in charge there, and she wanted him taken out. Well, after all this stuff unfolds, where Max actually refuses to kill Blaster, they go kill Blaster anyway and ship him out into a desert, and he goes wandering for quite some time until he comes across this little group of children in an oasis who proceed to tell the story of what happened to them, and they think that he's some sort of Messiah come to get him. They call him Captain Walker, which apparently I'm not really sure. I'm probably going to have to go back and watch that just to understand it a little more, but the best that I could get was that they were telling the story about the nuclear explosion, which they call the pox eclipse, which is like saying a pox, which is like a disease or a curse, and like a solar eclipse, and they take pox eclipse and they call it that. And there's a lot of gumbo jargon, which makes me think of a lot of simpleton talk that I've read about when I was reading the Gunslinger series from the Slow Mutants. A little bit of that part I got most of it, but I didn't understand a little bit of it, and I might have to watch back over it to understand it. But it's pretty good, and finding these children is Max's step that the description I talked about in the last video says, where he reclaims his humanity. And the fact that also got me about this too is that he's fighting in this movie, but he doesn't kill anybody, which really, really vexes me. The action sequences, quite honestly, are great. I have no qualms with them, but I was kind of expecting a lot of violence to be in this movie, and there are a lot of questions left unanswered. Certainly a lot of what the fuck moments in this movie to me. I mean, it's still good, but they still kind of bugged me. Especially the ending, where you have like the final confrontation in between Max and Entity, which really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me about how it unfolded, and especially with the ending about the kids and their little Oasis tribe, the ones who wandered off and the ones who stayed. I mean, I got that they were trying to rebuild civilization in there, but there was still a lot of questions that it left unanswered that bugged me. But aside from that, it's a great movie, and being the completist I am, I recommend that you check it out just to have a nice close to this trilogy.